up next?
Welcome to T4G Sports. We got breaking news today. Jim Knowles, the defense coordinator for the Ohio State Buckeyes, is taking the defensive coordinator job for Penn State. Without further ado, guys, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, click the notification bell, and don't just play the game, own the game. Let's light it up. So I don't know exactly what the dynamic was between Knowles and Larry Johnson, and this is not a singular event to just Ohio State. Coordinators get mad at each other all the time. Coaches are always going to get pissed. I don't care if it's at the Pee Wee level all the way to the NFL. You're going to hear them yell at each other. A lot of reputation is on the line. You got money on the line. You got legacy on the line. Your family is also on the line because you get fired, that bread stops. So you're constantly on the hunt to prove yourself. There's a lot of ego in coaching because you want to be known for besting the other coordinator. It's a chess match. You got all this going on. So there's a lot of heat that comes into that kitchen. And I really don't know who was right here because it appears like Jim Knowles was right. It appears like Jim Knowles was the one who was like, hey, follow my lead and I'm going to create the best defense in college football history. This defense, in my opinion, is the best defense. You could argue it's the best defense in the entire history of college football, and this is the best defense certainly in Ohio State's history, because on top of which, you look at the NIL, Nick Saban and a lot of these great defenses that have been out there never had to face this kind of level of NFL talent that was dispersed across the country. When Nick Saban was in his prime, NIL was not in its prime, so they used to just stack players just back and back. You'd have a fourth string number one in the country who was waiting his turn. You don't have that anymore. That just doesn't exist. That talent is being dispersed across the country. So you're facing tougher talent than you've ever faced in the entire history of college ball. So this defense is phenomenal. So I don't know who was right. I don't know if Larry Johnson was pissed off that a newcomer's coming and stepping his toes, because if you go over Larry Johnson's resume, I mean, you'll probably recognize some of the guys I'm going to mention here. The Bosa brothers, yeah, he brought them on. Chase Young, JT Tuimoloau, Jack Sawyer, Tyleik Williams, Edric Houston, he's snagged out of the middle of Georgia. They don't play any games. Kenyatta Jackson. When they want to go grab a defensive lineman who's number one in the country, they do it pretty much with ease. Okay, they're very, very good at grabbing whoever they want, all due to Larry Johnson. He's a beast. And then you got Jim Knowles. Did Jim Knowles feel like, hey, you're not giving me enough respect and you're kind of doubting me? Who knows what happened with that? But to me, this is kind of a statement move. And it's a little bit odd because Tom Allen leaves to go to Clemson. He becomes the defensive coordinator. He leaves Penn State and then becomes the defense coordinator at Clemson. Now, to me, that's a downgrade. I know Clemson fans would disagree, but I'm telling you, Clemson is in a dying conference. It's becoming tougher and tougher for them. Dabo Swinney, who's one of the only head coaches left in the country who's actually won a natty, he's been struggling. He used to not go to the transfer portal like damn near at all. He used to make it a statement like, no, we're going to recruit our way to the top. Well, look at Ohio State. They're third in 2025. Okay, very, very good class. They don't play any games. Then you start to go down, you're going, where's Clemson? Where are they? Look at Penn State. Penn State's 15th. Clemson is 27th. Their recruiting class this 2025 cycle, if we're being honest, this was not good. Okay, in Clemson, this is not how Clemson used to be. Clemson used to be top 3 program. Boom, boom, year in and year out. So I think Jim Knowles just was like, I'm going to become the defense coordinator for Penn State, and I'm going to help take Penn State and bring them to a Tier 1 program. We tried to tell everyone in the beginning of the year, too, that Penn State is a great football team, and no one wanted to believe us. No one. I'm telling you, I heard experts talking crap about Penn. Well, they can't beat Ohio State. Yeah, who can? List the teams that beat Ohio State, and you're going to find that list is very, very good teams. The teams that did beat Ohio State won national championships. Pretty interesting there. So I think that Penn State's going to become a Tier 1 program. I don't quite think they're there yet, but I think they're going to become a Tier 1 program. I think there's only 2 Tier 1 programs right now, which is Georgia and Ohio State. I think Texas, Oregon, you're Penn State. I think some of those teams, because of you got that oil money at Texas, you got that Phil Knight money, Pennsylvania. I don't know where you're getting that money, but you just have a massive fan base, very loyal fan base. And on top of which, you got Notre Dame. They got that Catholic money as well. Those schools are going to get into the Tier 1 program regardless because NIL is going to make it happen. That's just the way it is. They're going to buy their way into the Tier 1 program situation. But right now, you have Ohio State and you got Georgia. When they knock on your door, because here's what people don't understand. They like to consider program power with wins, and that's just not how it works. What makes Ohio State so scary is they get, 66,000 people that go to their school? They're like the second or third biggest school in the entire country. Massive. So when they knock on your door, and by the way, Ohio State has the number one they make the most amount of money when it comes to their sports programs, over $250 million a year. They're number one. So when they knock on your door and they want to steal your AD, they're going to steal your AD like Ross Bjork from Texas A&M. How many programs do you know that are going to fend that off and say, hey, we're going to go steal from Texas A&M? They got a crap load of money. But Ohio State's one of those programs. When they knock on your door to take your head coach, they'll take your head coach and make him a coordinator like they did Chip Kelly. That's the power at Ohio State. And when you look at Georgia, that's the same thing. They're doing the same damn thing. Now you're going to see Texas getting up in that. Oregon, Penn State, they're going to do the same thing. So I think Tom Allen knew that he better take the job at Clemson. It just is odd to me that this happened. Clemson is not to the level, not anymore, to the level of Penn State. And I think Jim Knowles, being from Pennsylvania, being irritated with everything at Ohio State, he's like, I'm out. You guys, they helped get me to a top level to where, they brought me in. I won a natty for them on the defensive side of the ball. And now I can go pick whatever college I basically want to go be the defense coordinator at. And Penn State was a clear move. And I think that was a powerful move. I mean, you look at the teams that wanted Jim Knowles, and he goes to Penn State, that's a power move. He believes in Penn State, and I believe in Penn State too. I believe that Penn State is a dog and shouldn't be counted out. So this is just to show you the power of the Big Ten. Okay, so this is an interesting dynamic, but I think here's where the actual power lies for Ohio State. If you're an Ohio State fan, this is where the power actually lies. So you got the 3rd overall class, composite rank. You got the 5th overall total rank, which you look at the composite rank, that's the power from here. They're ranked 50th in the transfer portal. And here's really where the power is going to lie for Ohio State. And this is where Nick Saban separated himself from everyone else. Okay, and Harold Canoe, he did enter in the transfer portal. So now he officially entered into the transfer portal. I heard the news on that, and that's a big loss for Ohio State, but also not like super detrimental either. You got Edric Houston. You got plenty of guys that are still there that are absolute dogs. Okay, so it's not really something you have to be. Cade McDonald, also a big one that they stole from Clemson. So Harold Canoe's a big one to lose, there's no doubt. But here's the interesting key factor I think you need to pay attention to in the upcoming days. How many defensive players that are starters leave Ohio State to go to Penn State and follow Jim Knowles? There's the power. Because for Nick Saban in Alabama, when coordinators left for whatever reason, players did not follow. Okay, rarely did they follow. They were like, all right, goodbye. Nick Saban could hire the paper boy to be the defense coordinator, and he was still going to land top 5 talent just because of the power of the program and himself. Okay, that was Nick Saban. That was the power of Alabama. So right here, you're going to see where's the power lie with Ryan Day and Ohio State. Because if no one leaves, you'll see the power is still within the program. So who are they going to hire next is the big question. So who are you going to hire? Now, a lot of people are going to say, just go hire whoever you want. You're Ohio State. Go steal whoever you want. And could they do that? Yes, I do believe they could steal damn near anyone they want. I think they could go steal Ole Miss's Pete Golding. He runs a 4.25. I think they'd go steal him if they wanted to. I know Ole Miss fans will suggest otherwise. Look, Ohio State's been stealing even players from Ole Miss for a bit now. Quinshon Judkins, Igbinosun. They've been stealing dudes and saying, hey, when Ole Miss, it's adorable that Ole Miss flex and huffs and puffs, but when they want to steal someone, they can steal someone from their program. You also can go after Phil Parker, which I don't know why no one has. This is what's crazy to me. I don't know the story behind Phil Parker, but I wish I could talk to him. He's the defense coordinator from Iowa. He also runs a 4.25. He actually transitioned to a 4.25. I would love to see Phil Parker. That would be the number one guy that I would love to see at Ohio State, what the hell he would do. Iowa's only had a defense forever, and it's because of Phil Parker. I mean, seriously, he is ridiculous. So I would love to see Phil Parker at Ohio State, just simply to see what he could do. I think Phil Parker would probably actually create the best defense in Ohio State history and even beat Jim Knowles. That's how good he is. He's the best defensive coach I've seen. I'm so impressed with Phil Parker, and somehow Iowa just keeps him every year, and I don't know how the hell they do it. I mean, it's really amazing to me. I think with Ohio State, the power that they have with recruiting, Phil Parker would just, oh my God, his life would be easy. He'd have the #1 defense in the country like every damn year. He's ridiculous. Anyways, those are two guys that had kind of popped up on my radar that I like. But then you also got Matt Guerreri. And I think Matt Guerreri, he's had ties with Ohio State because he was actually from Willoughby Hills, Ohio. He's a graduate from Notre Dame. He actually has been coaching with Knowles for quite some time. He's had extensive experience, 7 years coaching safeties. He was a graduate assistant for 3 seasons at Duke before being named safeties coach prior to the 2015 season. He's coached safeties for the Blue Devils from 2015 to 2021, and when Knowles left Duke after 2017 season to go to Oklahoma State, Guerreri became the team's co-defensive coordinator and safeties coach for the next 4 seasons. While at Duke, Guerreri is one of the 3 finalists. You know, he's got a bunch of awards as well. He's had ties. He's basically been Jim Knowles' understudy. So this is really an interesting concept here because this is a guy that is primed for a takeover. Okay, he is primed for a takeover, and he is being coached by Jim Knowles and been soaking that up. And the players already know him. So I think you're looking at your next defensive coordinator. And I think the players respect him. I think it's a good way to secure also the players that you have now, that they're not going to just up and start leaving and going with Jim Knowles to Penn State. I think it's a smart move. You're promoting in-house. Of course, I think some of those other guys that we mentioned, I think Phil Parker, that'd be huge. The guy's really old too. So, I mean, he's not really going to probably go anywhere if you were to get him. But I think the safest bet, if you're Ryan Day, is hiring Matt Guerreri, and I think it could end up panning out to be your smartest bet as well. I think he could have the best defense in the country for the next 3 years, and then turns around and he probably wants to go get a head coaching job somewhere. And this is his perfect chance and opportunity to kind of build up, then to go land a head coaching job. Because if you do good at Ohio State, like, why is he not following Jim Knowles to go to Penn State? Well, he's probably looking at a really good opportunity to go, well, I'm going to take over this Ohio State defense, and I don't know where else you'd want to play to be the defensive coordinator at. I mean, being the defensive coordinator at Ohio State is a pretty big opportunity. It's massive. Okay, massive opportunity. And he knows as good as anyone, if I become the defense coordinator and I get a top 3 defense every single year, and we keep getting into the national conference or national championship contention, then this guy writes his meal ticket to go become the head coach of damn near anywhere he wants to. It's that simple. He's young. He's just signed his meal ticket. So I think he's going to get hired. That's my personal belief here. I think that he's the guy. He's going to get promoted, and I think he's going to do well, really well. And I have a feeling he's one to go be a head coach somewhere. I really do. I think even if he didn't want that, it's going to happen, because if he takes over for Ohio State, does well, they're going to offer him too much money. And he knows he's always going to have a backup plan. I could always get hired to be a defense coordinator damn near anywhere I want. And so I think you're looking at your next hire right here in-house. He's been coached up by Jim Knowles. It all makes way too much sense. You're still going to keep Larry Johnson. You're going to keep Tim Walton. You're going to keep those guys probably happy. He's worked with these guys before, so it's not as big of a, bringing on one of these new coordinators where they want to bring on some other talent of their own. I think it's a smart move. I really do. So I think you're looking at your next hire here, and this whole thing has been crazy exciting. I think it's good. I think it's kind of good for both. I think it's good for Penn State. I think it's great for Penn State. I mean, what a pull. But then I also think at the same point in time, like Ohio State, this is pretty cool to see a young up-and-comer like this, who's known to be a very good defensive coach, to kind of, jump into this and say, I think I could do some work with these guys. And I think it's going to be exciting for Ohio State as well. So I kind of think at the end of this all, it's a win-win for everyone. I really do. I don't think it's a lose for Ohio State per se. I really don't. It could be that case, but I don't know. I think it's kind of exciting here. I think this is kind of cool, and it's Ryan Day's chance to become the next Nick Saban. What do you do? You start doing good with this guy, all of a sudden he goes, then you hire another guy, then you keep doing the same damn thing, and next thing you know, you're Nick Saban. There's that possibility at Ohio State. So very interesting. Let us know your thoughts down below.